We love to spend a ton of time up here in our loft, and it is magical, it's beautiful, it's a wonderful place to spend time, but it gets really hot up here. And of course we expected that when we built a cabin that was 1.5 stories with a nice beautiful loft with our wood stove right down there in the great room. But we didn't really think about how very hot it would get sometimes, especially because I am a freeze baby, and if I am down on the main floor, I want it 70, 75, and then I need to go to the loft for something, and it's 900 degrees up here. So my husband is an utter genius in so many ways, but he came up with an absolutely awesome idea of how we can take heat from the peak of the loft and move it down to our 2 bedrooms directly below. This is particularly awesome because not only does it address the issue with the heat in the loft, our 2 bedrooms are, of course, farthest from the wood stove. They are the coldest areas of the house. So this is absolutely genius. A couple of weeks ago, my husband put it in on one side of the loft, and we have been benefiting from it significantly in our bedroom. And so now he and I have gone ahead and we are doing the other side of the loft to go into the master bedroom, which we don't actually stay in. We like the small, cute bedroom. So it's the non-master master. Anyway, so I'm gonna take you along for the ride while we show you how to actually do this whole thing, from taking vents and ductwork from the peak of the roof up here in the loft all the way down along the sides of the inside of the cabin and to the ceiling in the master, non-master bedroom. This is the actual ductwork that we'll be putting up here to get the airflow going. So I just finished with the insulation. I took a fair amount out of it because if you compress, the insulation is really going to decrease that R value. So that is not what you want. So what I'm going to do next is, didn't want to take all of the boards out, but I do need to kind of fish this up. There are 2 boards we didn't actually take out all the way. We just loosened those up. So I need to get this far enough back that I can then push this through up there. So here we go. And how am I doing this? It's still on top of the insulation, right? I'm not like doing it in between the insulation?
Well, you kind of want it in there, no?
We'll just cut, you don't have to stop it, we'll just cut that one out.
I'll stop.
Made an unfilmed blooper and actually cut this out 1 board higher than anticipated or planned. We already have one installed over here and they were mismatched, but we're just going to replace this board in a couple of minutes. And in the interim, we're also going to check the insulation in here. We'll add a little bit that we tore out back in if we absolutely need to. We'll use some duct tape to seal all this back up. We will replace these boards and again, this one. Right, next piece of the process here is to take our ductwork from here and bring it down into the ceiling of the bedroom. There's a hole down to the ceiling right here. This is oval and we needed to get this to a circle, so we have a transition here. A couple of our pieces weren't quite right, so we made a couple of female pieces and changed them so they are now male pieces. So I'm going to get this one adjusted up there. And then I'm gonna move it to this ductwork here. And after we have that in place comes the fan. This is a 6-inch inline duct fan, and it is what's actually powering all of the hot air to come from up here in the loft and down to the bedroom. So we need to get that, of course, in line with all of the ductwork, and we also need to get this wired into a switch. Disclaimer, this may not be the right way to do this, so don't try this at home, but we are just going to cut off the plug-in here, and we're gonna get that wired into the switch. And lastly, we have a second piece of this, which we'll put all the way down to get us all the way into the ceiling. And then the hot air will flow. As I mentioned, this is our inline duct fan, and this is the genius of the entire project itself. So hot air rises, so in our cabin, it is very hot in our loft very often, and we spend a lot of time up here. And then inversely, our bedrooms, which are downstairs and then furthest away from the wood stove in our living area, are cold. So we take the hot air from the top, we pull it through this ductwork. This fan does the pulling and also pushes it down into the room below. It's just a great little fan. Small, does a good job. It's got a little arrow here telling me which direction the air is going to be flowing, so I want that to be going from the top down to the bottom. So I'm gonna get that in right like that. The electricity part, we do have the wiring back there for the switch, but the actual hooking them together is going to be a job for my husband because I will electrocute myself and burn down the cabin. So we're just gonna set that right there. And lastly, we already have one of these going all the way down into the ceiling of the bedroom. This one we had to cut off a little bit to make it the right size, and this is another piece where we had to make it into a male fitting. Our big moment has arrived. From the peak of the loft into the bedroom. Perfection. Lots of warm air coming down from the peak of the roof of the loft to the master, not master, bedroom. Thank you for following along as we got this all set up. I hope it was interesting to you and maybe something that you can put into practice in your own homestead. And we will see you next time here at the Minnesota Homestead. And for your enjoyment, a quick tour of the loft. That's a beautiful Miss Spoof hiding there. There is the vent that we just put in. The vent cover is on back order. Not here yet. We have Wallace and Esther, the air plants. Wolfric. The desk where I work. I hide my computer and monitors at the end of the day. I don't want to look at them. And over there we have our second vent, the one that has been up for quite a while. There's the light switch. And then we come over to our bookshelves. And that is the loft.